Chernobyl Liquidators, April to December 1986. How people were evacuated from Pripyat to a new city built for them, Slavutich. The authorities ordered the city to be emptied, but the reactor was still burning. Someone had to stay. An order was given to assemble the liquidators, people from Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Latvia, Lithuania, Georgia, and other Soviet republics, without a choice, without questions. From that moment on, Chernobyl was no longer an accident. It became a job. After the explosion, one thing became clear. This was no longer just Ukraine's problem. It was Europe's problem. The reactor was open. Nuclear fuel was no longer contained. It was in the air. Graphite was burning. Radioactive dust was rising. The wind was doing the rest. Radiation does not stop at borders. It moves. If nothing had been done, the contaminated zone would have spread far beyond Chernobyl. A decision was made. The radiation had to be stopped immediately. That was when the liquidators were assembled. Not elite specialists, not volunteers, people who could be gathered quickly and used immediately. Notices were sent through military units, through factories, through local administrations. Some men were told it was a construction job. Others were told it was fire containment. Most were not told the location. Documents were signed. Uniforms were issued. Transportation was arranged. No one explained what the word liquidation meant. They were sent from across the Soviet Union. Most of them did not know where they were going. Even fewer knew what awaited them. Instructions were brief. There was no time for questions. The first attempt relied on machinery. Bulldozers were meant to push radioactive debris away. Trucks were supposed to remove the wreckage. Robots were sent where humans could not go. Reality was different. Radiation destroyed electronics. Robots failed within minutes. Control systems shut down. Bulldozers became unusable before real work could begin. The technology failed. When it became clear that technology could no longer stop the radiation, the decision was simple and brutal. If machines could not do the job, people would. Humans would go onto the roof. Those people were called liquidators, not heroes, not volunteers, men who received orders. Most were young, in their 20s and 30s. Many were told only one thing, a short task, then home. On the reactor roof lay graphite, material from the reactor core itself. Every piece emitted lethal radiation. There was no fire, no smoke. It was one of the most dangerous places on Earth at that moment. The task was primitive. Go onto the roof, pick up the graphite, throw it down, get back. Men were lined up in groups. Each group was assigned a time slot. Officers stood with stopwatches. Time was measured, not exposure. When time was over, the next man was already moving. Time was strictly limited, 30 seconds, sometimes 45, rarely a minute, not because it was safe, but because the human body could not survive longer. They ran, wearing heavy lead-lined suits, masks that barely helped. Breathing was difficult, movement was worse. Dosimeters screamed the moment they stepped out. Sometimes they failed entirely, overwhelmed by the radiation. One man ran forward, another was already coming back. No words, no hesitation. This was not heroism. It was a production line. Man, task, next man. Some slipped, some fell. There were moments when men collapsed on the roof itself. Their bodies simply stopped responding. Others dragged them back. There was no time to think. After their shifts, the suits were removed. Some were destroyed immediately. Showers were mandatory. Records were incomplete. Sometimes doses were reassigned to other names. Sometimes they were not recorded at all. Official radiation limits existed only on paper. In reality, they were exceeded constantly. What mattered was finishing the job. When it became clear that even human labor could not continue indefinitely, a final solution was chosen. The reactor had to be sealed. That was how the sarcophagus was built. It was never designed to last decades. It was built fast, in haste, without full calculations, concrete walls, steel structures. Construction continued while radiation was still present. Liquidators worked day and night. Many had already exceeded every safety threshold. No one said it out loud. The work had to be finished. By the end of 1986, the first sarcophagus was completed. Radiation levels dropped. The immediate threat was contained. Officially, the job was done. The liquidators were sent home, without ceremonies, without recognition, without clear answers about what would come next. Many became ill years later, some almost immediately. For a long time, it was said there was no connection, that it was coincidence, that there was not enough evidence. Medical records disappeared, statistics were hidden, many liquidators died quietly, without acknowledgement, without responsibility taken by the state. Their names appeared later, carved into memorials. Today, those names are written in stone, not because the system remembered them, but because without them, Chernobyl would not have been stopped. Chernobyl was not stopped by technology, not by plans, not by documents. It was stopped by people sent where machines failed. They paid for it with everything.